the Austrian painter. At around this time, the yelling starts. This is when the local factory lets out the swing shift and all the tired, defeated men in their overalls head back to the anonymous and drab cubicles they call home. It all begins with something more like a muffled complaint, and it ends with all sorts of cursing, clattering pans, and an eerie, seemingly total silence. The painter has gotten used to this daily cycle. After all, he had to. For the pitiful amount of money that he earns selling knockoff paintings and basic scrawling he calls paintings to uninformed and unsophisticated rubes, this is all he could afford. The littered hallways with a faint smell of rotting cabbage, the squalid, crowded shoebox he calls his apartment. But in the middle of all of these crumpled wastes of human aspiration stands proudly his holy grail, his easel. Lovingly looking at the canvas mounted on the easel, the painter imagines all sorts of worlds, all waiting for him to apply a little bit of paint here, an outline there, and fill it all in with a wash. This is his refuge, his paradise lost. As he scribbled away on yet another attempt at a painting that can hopefully sell at a high enough price for him to cover next month's rent, he felt a slight rumbling. He didn't think much of it. People do pound on the walls out of desperation from time to time. Nothing new. But the rumbling continued to grow to the point that one can't overlook it. Groaning as he strains to straighten his back and slowly move to the covered-up window to take a peek, he gets blown backward by a blinding light. The rumble gives way to an almost eardrum-shattering hum, which lasts all but a nanosecond. No matter how seemingly fast that blast may be, it was to give him temporary blindness. Peering at the dark, shadowy forms in front of him, he stammered, "Who is it?" automatically assuming he is dealing with a human life form. "How are you doing tonight?" Warm, genial words, seemingly wafting in the air, landing on the painter's ears much like dandelion seeds, floating on a summer breeze. "What?" the painter asked as he rubbed his eyes. "My name is Bob, and I'd like to show you a new way to paint." At that point, the painter instinctively grabbed a broken shard of glass to protect himself. He has seen this play out before. Time travelers materialize out of nowhere, taking many different forms and carrying different equipment, all with the same goal of wanting to kill him. "What do you want with me? I don't even have a job. I just want to paint. I haven't hurt anybody. I've committed no crimes. I don't owe anybody any money. What do you want from me?" A sense of desperation punctuated the young painter's staccato voice. The frizzy-haired man in the weird clothes straightened his back, slowly put his hands up in the air, and slowly turned around. "I mean you no harm. I'm not carrying any weapons. You can see my hands are empty. I'm here for one thing only. I want to teach you how to paint." "That's ridiculous," the painter blurted out. "I already know how to paint." And he points angrily to the huge pile of unsold canvas paintings he has accumulated over the months. "I see you have a lot of your own work. Are you collecting your own work?" The painter detected the slight sarcasm. Well, at least he interpreted it as such. "No, genius. I can't sell paintings for the life of me. Let me show you how. What would it hurt? You have nothing to lose." The man with the kind eyes looked straight into the dejected yet determined face of the Austrian. "You have nothing to lose," he repeated as he extended his arm with an open palm, asking for a paintbrush. "Go ahead, but if you try something funny, I will cut you," the painter threatened. "Fair enough." Bob put a fresh, clean canvas on the easel and drew a deep breath. Slowly caressing the surface of the canvas, he looked over his shoulder to look the painter in the eye. "Today we're going to paint a landscape." "I've done that before," the painter cuts him off. "Half that pile of paintings you see on the floor are landscapes. What will make your stuff any different?" "Well," Bob unfazed continues, "we're going to make a landscape filled with happy trees, fluffy clouds, and a vast, calming prairie." His calming words came over the tense and anxious young frustrated painter, much like a warm, comforting blanket when it's snowing outside. Going against his instincts, the painter can only slowly blurt out, "Go ahead, Bob, go ahead." There's a tinge of resignation in his voice, as if he is accepting the fact that his landscape paintings simply aren't all that good. "Great," Bob responded, turning again to the canvas. "First, let's lay the base." He pulls a broad brush, dips it in the palette, and lays out a dark yellow field. "And then now we know what the background looks like. We're going to put up the sky. Let's create the sky." A sense of wonder filled the room. The painter can't help it, but Bob's passion is infectious. "Let's paint the sky." "Yeah, I like that," the painter said, uncharacteristically optimistic and cheery. Soon enough, the top part of the canvas was filled with a radiant, hopeful blue sky. And no sky, Bob continued, would be complete with fluffy clouds. Let's fill it with fluffy clouds. The painter just fell into silence. He didn't want to seem too eager, but he could sense the infectious optimism and hope flowing from the tips of the different brushes Bob was applying to the canvas as the landscape started to materialize with all its hope, promise, and beauty. The sun cannot be too shy, Bob noted, so let's put the sun up a little bit higher up the sky. The painter could feel his heart race a little bit faster as he sensed the power of control over the canvas. That even if you start out wrong with badly matching colors or you place a key piece on the wrong corner of the canvas, with a few brush strokes you cover up your past mistakes, you're able to move on, and a new painting emerges. He sensed all of that in the quick deftness of Bob's hands. There was no hesitation nor crying over or agonizing over mistakes. It seemed just all part of a flow, and all pieces in the painting belonged there. It's as if they've always been there. Nothing to apologize for, nothing to worry about, and the flow couldn't help but make the young Austrian painter feel drunk with possibility. Yeah, that's great. You might want to put more trees in the background, he enthusiastically coached Bob. Yes, that's right. Let's put more trees in the back, the calming voice agreed. And pretty soon this forest, dense at the bottom, light in the area at the top and filled with the brightness of tomorrow's hope and aspiration, seemingly filled the drab urban prison that the painter called home with rays of light. As the painter peered into the paintings, he saw great possibilities that one does not have to agonize over every single detail, but just with a few strokes or a brush, one can see figures that are close enough to the real deal and that their value and realism increases as you put them next to each other. And as you pan back and see the whole picture, it takes a life of its own. I like it, the painter declared. I like it too, Bob said as he turned around and looked the painter in the eyes. The kindness in Bob's eyes can't help but make the painter feel like he belonged. He was staring at his kindred artist straight in the eye. I don't know how to thank you, the painter said. No need to thank me, just follow your heart. You are an artist. Bob reassured him. Bob put out his hand and the painter shook it warmly. He cupped the back of Bob's hand with his left hand. What is your name again? The painter warmly asked. Bob Ross. I'm from the future, and I just want to say, you can do everything you want. Adolf Hitler, you have an artist's heart. I have taught you how to paint paintings people would enjoy and buy. Use it for good. And with those words, the image of the man with the 70s perm and calming voice fizzled out and soon enough totally disappeared. Once again, darkness filled Adolf's room. Yet as he looked at the canvas, he saw the bright vista of the sun defiant against the darkness. The tall trees in the back invited him to explore their mysteries. And in the middle of it all, a rolling prairie of grass rich with promise, potential, beauty, and life. Holding it all together, the young Hitler squints at the painting was the color of hope.